this. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make.
So it's New Year's Eve again. Partner's at work, so I thought I'd come down to the club and do a few bits. It's funny how some jobs are really satisfying jobs to do. They're quite complicated and quite interesting. Maybe that's why maybe it's a change from just sticking bits together. But I'm just doing the turtle deck and the coping around the cockpit, and I decided, I think I mentioned in one of the earlier videos, how it seems very flimsy, so I wanted to strengthen it up. So I'll put a lip in it and then put a piece of 10mm tubing around it to strengthen it up. And it's one of those, it's quite a lot of concentration, quite a lot of toing and froing and stuff, but it's incredibly satisfying to get it right. So I've done half of it, and that was incredibly satisfying because it went right. I'm going to do the next bit now. I'll run through it and show you what I'm doing, and then knowing once you push the button to go, push the go button, it's everything's going to go wrong in it. It's like in the recording studio. The red light comes on and the shit hits the fan, and my playing generally is is the shit that hits the fan. So I'll try videoing this. Don't know whether it'll work or not. If it doesn't, I'll do a bit of time lapse or something, but I'll try and capture what I'm doing and maybe talk a bit through it. Alright? Okay, I've cut out the starboard side of the cockpit coaming, and as you can see, cut out. There's a hole still needs cutting out for the aileron push rod, but that can wait a little bit until I've got this sorted. So the plan is to put a lip along this edge, 90-degree bend down, and then inside that lip I'm going to bend a piece of 10mm tubing. So obviously it's got to be bent in 3 dimensions, so it's quite a complicated piece of bending, but I did it a bit at a time. The other one worked really well, so whether this one does or not, I don't know. So I'm just going to mark out the 10mm, which will be enough to cover the tubing, and then I shall start bending it basically. So okay, so I've marked out a 10mm bend line. As you can see, if you can see, it fades out here at the rear. And one other problem that these pieces were just not quite wide enough. They could have done with being another 2 inches, certainly 1.5 inches wider. So there's a gap at the middle. So I'm going to have to cut out, I guess, a piece separately and do a separate piece for the centre, because I do want although the leather padding won't go around the rear, it will go all the way around the front is the plan. But because there's a gap there, I'm going to need to fill that in somehow. So, but that's just a separate piece that I can do when I've sorted out the instrument panel. Okay, got my fluting pliers, got me whatever the hell those are, bending pliers. They're quite good. These, quite like these things. They've been very handy. I think I mentioned before I bought them when I was building the Sonex, and never used them, I don't think, but they've come in very handy for this build for various bits. And so I don't know where I got them from or how I came across them. Obviously one of those things I do tend to think, oh, that looks handy, I like the look of that thing, that's going to be really useful, and sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. So I'm just starting with the gentle bends. I'm sure any proper metal workers will tell me exactly what I'm doing wrong, but I'm just easing it along like everything that's gone on with this build. It's been Tim's way, right or wrong. can see the plan to put some strength. If you can see that, there's too much light on here. I can't complain. Light you need in a workshop, and this is the best one I've ever had. So, but there is a bend in that there, and I'm just working my way around. I'll fetch the fluting pliers into play. Just to sort this bend. So as you can now see, it is putting a bit of a curve. I don't really want this curve, but it does ease out. I mean, if it comes to it, I can cut it. But the other one I didn't need to. It worked out all right. So we'll keep going and see what happens. So the theory is that I make all the cock-ups on the first one that you don't see, and then I look like I know what I'm doing when I come to the second one and show you what I'm doing. But worryingly, I didn't make any cock-ups on the first one, so we'll see how this goes. Just put a couple of flutes in. So some bits seems to need the fluting, other bits don't. This bit was the awkward bit. There's not a lot to work with here. It was, as I think I mentioned earlier, that was my worry doing this, was the fact that there wasn't a lot of metal left. I don't know why. I might have that wrong. That really needs to go. All the way to the end. Right, we've got the first bit of this in. I'll go put it over on the aeroplane and see what needs to be done next. I'll come back with a bit more. Okay, so that's the side. Just pressed into place. As you can see, it fits all right. See, there's a gap up there. I do need to put a piece in the middle. I think it's going to be the best bet. Probably put a nice padding block on there as well for forward protection. I guess a lot of them had that sort of thing. The leather padding is going to stop her here because obviously it's going to, I don't want it behind my head. Normally it would have a headrest, as I've mentioned before. So there's a little bit of tension in that, but nothing that the rivets won't sort out. I might just have to take a wee bit off there. But that's, as you can see, the other side. I have put the, you can see the tube in there. Not really, but there is you can see the end of it there. There's the tube in there, which, so all of that's going to be covered up by the insulation and the leather padding. But yeah, it's nice, and it has made it much more structurally secure, which is what I like. Still contemplating putting a couple of wedges down there because that side's the side I'm going to be getting in, so maybe just a couple of wedges down to there. Don't need to be attached particularly, only at one end, maybe two, but we'll see. But it's just to say I'm bothered about putting my weight on this, and it's very flimsy, but that is strengthening it up quite a lot. You can see there's had to be a slight bend in there, maybe you can see that, and of course it curves in 3 dimensions really, so it's quite a complex thing, but I did a bit at a time and it seemed to work well. So I'll take this piece off again and I'll show you that bending process. So this is my 10mm tubing. a well-known aviation suppliers B&Q, and basically I'll just get a rough idea of the curve and then start working it bit at a time. So we'll leave myself a little bit of extra, and we'll just gently move it round, initially trying to keep it in just 2 dimensions. Sort of a bit by eye really, just move it touch at a time, see what we get. If it's too much we can always bend it back. I'm just bending it between these 2 formers that I made for the other bending. I'm getting a little more adept at the bending, I think. And it's a lot easier with this thinner tube, of course, than the thick tube. Is a very different thing, but I've learned that it's much easier to do it a tiny bit at a time. There we go, it's slowly coming into place. I shall then start working on the 3D, but then it needs to go onto the cockpit so I can work out the a bit too early, so we can just bend it back a touch. I'll continue with this. I'll show you when I've got something like. There you go, that's the first bend. As you can see, it fits quite pleasantly into there. Nice fit all the way along, but of course that's just in the 2 dimensions. Obviously it needs cutting, but I'm leaving it long so I've got room to manoeuvre with it, and that looks pretty cool to me. Quite a good fit for the first bit. Now I'll put the other bit on the aeroplane and start bending it in the other directions. Okay, so that's that one in place. The other one has come off a bit, but so it's not set. And I'm just going to get this clee code, get that tube in, pipe it 10mm, which is just clamped in place at the minute. I'll get that drilled and clee code like this side, and yeah, quite pleased with that. It's probably taken longer this time to only get it right, but it's worked. We get there, patience and work on it, and I'm quite hopeful on the finished result. So the problem is the front there. I'm really going to have to cut a bit off both and put an extended piece across the 2, which I can't do until I've got the panel done. So, but at least I know I've got a plan in mind for that, and it all seems to be working all right. So pleased with the results. Okay, so there you are. Get the idea. It's how it's going to look with some nice pleather over the top of it. But yeah, I think that's going to work all right. Fits nicely. Looks quite the business. Obviously, there's a lot more I can't do. I need the panel doing, fuel tank, engine. I may have mentioned it before, but that's what's holding the job up now. So I'm going to stop and grab myself a bit of dinner and come back and potter around with that throttle quadrant I was making, see if we can do something with that. But yeah, good morning's work. Quite enjoyed doing that. It's been a fun job, that one. Some of them are just processes, but that was enjoyable and a bit creative, and yeah, enjoyed doing that job a lot. Well, there we go. I've got that top coaming on there. Looks really nice. Really enjoyed doing this. The sheet metal work has been really enjoyable. It's, you know, lots of toing and throwing backwards and forwards, little bits and stuff, but it's not held in place. It's only held in place by clamps and stuff at the minute. But that's the front end there. Fits really nicely along the edge. What I've done is I've tucked it down behind this gusset here, and the same over there on this one. They're tucked in nicely. That's what's holding them in place at the minute, so it's a nice tight fit just with itself. I have noticed I need to take a little bit off there, as you can see. That's but that just simply needs, you can see I've marked it out there, just needs a cut out of there and it'll slip down, and gives you a rough impression of what the cockpit will look like. Yeah, pleased with that. I enjoyed today. It's taken me all day to do that single piece, really, but I'll just take my time and really enjoyed the process. Like doing the that metal forming there. Really enjoyed this process. So it's been fun Christmas and New Year for me. The other little job I've done is I've been having a look at this fuel tank and making some marks on it, as you can see, and I'm thinking I could have a T-shaped tank. It would give me a bit more volume, and if I can get the metal fabricators to create that shape there, and basically those bits, I guess they can just cut it, fold it in and re-weld. I don't see it being too much of a problem, but like I said, I'm not a fabricator, having thoroughly enjoyed doing that fabricating on the cockpit. But yeah, I'll give Paul a ring tonight and see what's happening with the other one, and if not, I'll see if I can find a local fabricator and maybe get this done myself. Have a go at that, and it just gives me a bit extra fuel volume, and that T-shape should fit between the pedals and between my legs. Should work, theoretically. So there's the first incarnation of the throttle quadrant. That looks quite nice. Looks nice and wooden, which is what I was sort of looking for. Just letting some Araldite glue set on there until the new year, and I'll be back in the new year with some more episodes.